You know that feeling when life feels heavy, not because something big happened, but because you haven't checked in with yourself in a long time. You wake up, grab your phone, scroll for no reason, and suddenly your day already feels behind. We all do it. But here's the truth nobody tells you: happiness doesn't arrive from big achievements, big moments, or big blessings. It comes from one tiny, intentional habit that you can start today. And if you listen closely for the next few minutes, you're going to learn the simplest gratitude practice that can flip your mood, reset your mindset, and make you feel more in control of your own life. That's what we're talking about today: how to live a happier life starting right now. Not someday, not when life gets easier, not when circumstances change, but today. And trust me, once you understand this, you won't go back to the old version of yourself. Look, happiness isn't an accident, it's a skill. It's something you train like a muscle. And most of us go through life waiting for something outside to change so we can finally feel better inside. But that's not how real happiness works. The real shift happens when you decide to take responsibility for how you feel. And this is where gratitude becomes a game changer. Not the cheesy, forced version people post on social media. I'm talking about real gratitude, the kind that grounds you, centers you, and snaps you out of the chaos in your head. I want you to imagine this every morning. Your brain opens dozens of tabs like a browser. Worries, expectations, tasks, regrets, comparisons. It's overwhelming, and when your mind is overwhelmed, your emotions follow. But here's the powerful thing. The human brain cannot feel stress and gratitude at the same time. Gratitude interrupts the chaos. It rewires your focus. It brings you back into your body, into the moment, and into what's actually working instead of everything that's missing. Happiness is a skill. You train it. You don't wait for it. Most people don't realize how powerful this one idea is. They think happiness is something that just happens when life finally becomes perfect, when stress disappears, when money comes in, when love arrives, when problems magically fade away. But life doesn't work like that. If you keep waiting for the perfect moment to feel happy, you'll spend your whole life standing still. Happiness isn't a gift that someone hands to you. It's a habit you build, a mindset you shape, a muscle you strengthen every single day. Think about it like this. Imagine a person who wants to get strong but never goes to the gym. They sit and hope that maybe one morning they'll wake up with muscles. Sounds ridiculous, right? Yet this is exactly how most people approach happiness. They want emotional strength without emotional training. They want peace without practicing calm. They want joy without practicing gratitude. They want confidence without practicing self-belief. Every skill in life requires practice, repetition, and effort. Happiness is no different. And here's where everything changes the moment you understand that happiness is something you actively create. You take your power back. You stop depending on circumstances. You stop depending on people. You stop depending on luck. You start depending on yourself. Every day gives you small chances to train this skill. Tiny moments that look ordinary but hold the power to shape your entire emotional life. Take a daily example. Imagine you're stuck in traffic. You can't move. You're frustrated. Your day already feels ruined. Now here's the life-changing question. What do you practice in that moment? Do you practice anger, irritation, helplessness, or do you practice patience, acceptance, calm? Your reaction becomes your training. Your mind doesn't care whether the moment is big or small. Whatever emotion you repeat is the emotion you become good at. If you practice stress every day, you become excellent at stressing. If you practice gratitude every day, you become excellent at finding the good. Another example. Think about waking up in the morning. For most people, the first thing they do is check their phone. And immediately they start comparing themselves, worrying, reacting, feeling behind. That's their training. They train chaos before they even step out of bed. Now imagine switching that with something simple. Before touching the phone, you take one deep breath and appreciate one thing in your life. Maybe the quiet of the morning, maybe the chance to try again, maybe someone you love. This seems small, but you're training your mind to look for what's steady instead of what's stressful. And over time, this one small shift begins to change your entire emotional baseline. It's the same with confidence. People wait to feel confident before they make a move. But confidence is built by doing the very thing that scares you. You don't magically wake up brave. You train bravery by stepping forward while your voice shakes, while your heart pounds, while your mind doubts you. Every time you push through, even a little, you're strengthening a skill. You're teaching your brain, I can do hard things. One day you look back and realize the things that once terrified you now feel normal. That's the power of training. Happiness works exactly the same way. You build it in small, daily reps. Choosing to smile at a child who waves at you. Choosing to step outside for a moment of sunlight. Choosing to drink water instead of ignoring your body. Choosing to give someone a kind word. Choosing to forgive yourself for a mistake. Choosing to notice one good thing even in a messy day. These aren't random acts. They're repetitions of a skill. They shape who you become. There's a quote people often misunderstand. You are what you repeatedly do. They think it's only about habits, but it's also about emotions. You become what you repeatedly feel. So if you repeatedly feel irritation, it grows. If you repeatedly feel gratitude, it grows. If you repeatedly feel hope, it grows. You get better at whatever you practice. Think about a person you know who always finds something positive even in tough situations. Most people assume they were born like that, but they weren't. They trained that mindset. Maybe life forced them to. Maybe their experiences shaped them. But they weren't born with a happiness gene. They practiced seeing the good, just like someone practices a craft. And because of that, they walk through life lighter than others. On the other hand, think about someone who constantly complains, constantly focuses on what's missing, constantly expects the worst. They didn't start their life that way. They trained it. They practiced negativity every single day until it became their natural state. That's why this truth is so powerful. It reminds you that you are not stuck. You are not fixed. You are not limited by your past. You can retrain your emotional habits. You can reshape how you feel. You can learn happiness the same way you learn anything else. And the moment you start taking control, something incredible happens. You stop waiting for life to become easier. You stop waiting for people to treat you better. You stop waiting for the perfect day. You start creating micro moments of happiness wherever you are. And those micro moments accumulate. They build emotional strength. They build resilience. They build a new version of you who doesn't collapse under pressure, who doesn't get lost in stress, who doesn't give up easily. They create a version of you who knows how to center yourself even when life is chaotic. Happiness is not a miracle, it's a practice. And the more you train it, the more natural it becomes. Gratitude interrupts stress and rewires your mindset. And once you truly understand this, you stop seeing gratitude as some cute idea people post on social media and start seeing it as a real tool that can change how your brain reacts to life. Most people don't realize that their mind is running on autopilot. Something small happens and immediately the stress switch turns on. Someone cuts you off in traffic. A message arrives late. Your plan doesn't work out. Someone's tone feels off. And suddenly your whole mood collapses. It feels automatic because it is. Your brain is trained to look for danger first, problems first, negativity first. And if you don't interrupt that cycle, your day becomes one long stream of stress. That's where gratitude becomes powerful. Not the dramatic, over-the-top version. The real kind, the small, genuine moments where you pause and redirect your focus. Because here's the truth, the human brain cannot hold gratitude and stress at the same time. One pushes the other out. Gratitude isn't just a nice thought. It's a pattern breaker. It's like someone turning on a light in a dark room. The darkness doesn't fight, it just disappears. Think about a moment when you were overwhelmed. Maybe you were sitting at your desk, staring at tasks that felt impossible. Your heartbeat was fast, your chest felt tight, your mind was racing. Now imagine in that exact moment, you stopped everything for 10 seconds and said to yourself, I'm grateful that I can try again today. You might think that's too small to matter, but your brain reacts instantly. That single moment breaks the stress spiral. It's like grabbing the steering wheel when your emotions are speeding out of control. Daily life gives endless examples. Maybe you're having a chaotic morning. You spill your drink, you misplace your keys. Someone calls you with a problem. Your whole day feels ruined before it even starts. But then, as you stand at the door, you pause for a moment and notice the morning air. You take one slow breath and feel a tiny sense of calm. That's gratitude, not poetic, not fancy, just present, just real. And in that moment, your brain releases tension. Your thoughts slow down. Your body relaxes. It's a reset you gave to yourself. Or imagine you're arguing with someone you care about. The conversation is getting heated, and your mind is preparing to say something you'll regret. But then in the middle of all that intensity, you remind yourself, I appreciate that this person matters to me. Suddenly your tone softens. Your heart settles, your defenses lower. Gratitude didn't solve the problem, but it interrupted the emotional explosion that would have made everything worse. This is the power people underestimate. Gratitude isn't about ignoring problems. It's about giving your mind a chance to think clearly so you can handle them with strength instead of panic. When stress takes over, your thinking becomes narrow. You can't see solutions, you can't see possibilities, you can't see hope. But when gratitude interrupts that reaction, your mind opens again. You see choices, you see options. You see a way forward. Think about someone who always seems calm, even when life gets messy. They aren't magical, they're trained. They've built a habit of noticing one good thing even in chaos. Maybe their car won't start, but they appreciate the quiet morning breeze. Maybe they lost something important, but they appreciate that they can figure it out step by step. Maybe they're exhausted, but they appreciate that they're still moving. That doesn't make their problems disappear, but it gives them a stronger mind to face them. Gratitude literally changes how your brain wires itself. Neuroscientists talk about this all the time. The more you practice a particular thought pattern, the stronger that neural pathway becomes. So if you constantly practice stress, your brain becomes excellent at stressing. If you constantly practice appreciation, your brain becomes excellent at finding calm. That's why some people spiral into negativity so quickly. They've trained themselves to do it. And that's also why some people bounce back so fast. They've trained their mind to interrupt emotional storms with gratitude. You've seen this in your own life. Remember a day when everything felt heavy, and then something small changed your whole mood. Maybe someone smiled at you. Maybe a child waved. Maybe you heard a song that reminded you of a good memory. Maybe you took one sip of tea and felt peace for a moment. That's gratitude. It resets your emotional system within seconds. One of the most powerful examples is this. Imagine you're lying in bed at night. Your mind is full of worries. The future feels uncertain. Your heart feels heavy. You're overthinking every scenario that could go wrong. Now picture yourself placing your hand on your chest and taking a slow breath. And then you say quietly, I'm grateful that I'm still here, still learning, still trying. That one sentence doesn't fix everything, but it stops the storm inside your head. It's like telling your mind, we're safe right now. We're okay in this moment. And suddenly, your body relaxes. Your thoughts slow down. Your heart steadies. That's not magic. That's neuroscience. Gratitude is not a big gesture. It's a small interruption that saves you from drowning in your own thoughts. It's the pause that gives your mind a chance to breathe. It's the shift that turns a bad day into a manageable one. It's the mental anchor that keeps you steady when life tries to drag you under. And the best part, you don't need perfect circumstances to practice it. You don't need a special moment. You don't need everything to make sense. You can be stressed and still practice gratitude. You can be confused and still appreciate something. You can be hurting and still find one small thing that brings you back to yourself. Gratitude isn't for perfect days. It's for the messy ones. It's the small habit that rewires your mindset, rebuilds your emotional strength, and reminds you that even in chaos, There is always one tiny thing you can hold on to that helps you breathe again. Focus on one thing you appreciate each morning before touching your phone, because the very first moment of your day decides the emotional direction of everything that comes after. Most people don't realize how much power is hidden in those first 30 seconds after waking up. The moment your eyes open, your mind is empty, quiet, unshaped. It's like fresh sand. You get to place the first footprint. But what do most people do? They reach for their phone, they scroll, they compare. They get hit with messages, notifications, problems, expectations, news, pressure. And without noticing, their brain jumps into stress mode before their feet even touch the floor. That one habit steals their peace. It steals their clarity. It steals the chance to actually feel present in their own life. This is why choosing one thing to appreciate before touching your phone is such a powerful practice. It's small, but it hits deep. You're training your brain to start the day with intention instead of reaction. Instead of letting the world decide your mood, you decide it. Instead of giving your attention away, you claim it, and it only takes a few seconds. Picture this: you wake up. Sunlight is touching the curtains. The world is quiet. Your mind is still soft from sleep. Instead of grabbing your phone, you place your hand on your chest, take one slow breath, and think. I appreciate this moment. Maybe you're thankful for the comfort of your bed. Maybe you're grateful that you have a new day. Maybe you appreciate the chance to fix something you messed up yesterday. Maybe you appreciate someone in your life who makes things a little easier. It doesn't need to be poetic. It doesn't need to be impressive. It only needs to be honest. And suddenly your entire body relaxes. Your shoulders loosen. Your breath deepens. Your mind shifts from pressure to presence. You haven't even stood up yet, but you've already taken control of your day. Most people underestimate small habits because they're used to big problems. When someone hears the word gratitude, they imagine long journaling sessions or perfect morning routines. But this isn't about aesthetics. It's about training your brain. And one small moment of appreciation in the morning is enough to shift your mental chemistry. It lowers stress hormones. It softens your nervous system. It wakes up your focus. It reminds you that you are allowed to start gently. Here's a simple daily life example. Imagine two versions of you. In the first version, you wake up, grab your phone instantly, and see something stressful. A message that annoys you, a post that makes you compare yourself, a notification that pressures you. Already your heart rate is up. Already your thoughts are racing. By the time you get out of bed, you're irritated or anxious without even knowing why. That version of you is running on reaction the entire day. Now picture the second version. You wake up and resist the urge to check your phone. You take one slow breath. You look at the ceiling, the window, the soft light, and you think, I appreciate that I get another chance today. That's it. Nothing dramatic. Just awareness. And now you start your day with a mind that feels grounded instead of scattered. This version of you walks differently, speaks differently, handles things differently. You're calmer, more steady, more present. This tiny practice builds emotional strength over time. It teaches you something incredibly important. You don't have to wait for life to go perfectly to feel okay inside. You can create your own calm. You can create your own gratitude. You can create your own energy before anyone else touches it. You see this difference especially on difficult days. Maybe you didn't sleep well. Maybe you're stressed about money, work, relationships, responsibilities. Maybe your heart feels heavy. Most people let those feelings drag them immediately. But when you start your morning with appreciation, you don't deny the difficulty, you just don't let it own you. You tell your mind, yes, things are hard, but there is still something steady here. That's emotional maturity. That's mental training. And the more you do it, the more your brain starts searching for good things automatically. Not fake positivity, not pretending everything is perfect. Just a natural shift in what your mind notices. Instead of jumping to stress, it starts noticing peace. Instead of reacting, it pauses. Instead of spiraling, it slows down. That's how people become naturally calm. That's how people become mentally strong, not by chance, but by practice. Even science backs this up. The first thought of your day sets the tone for your nervous system. If your first thought is pressure, the body tenses. If your first thought is appreciation, the body relaxes. And a relaxed mind makes better decisions. It speaks better, thinks better, feels better. Imagine waking up tomorrow and instead of grabbing your phone, you sit up slowly and whisper to yourself, I appreciate that I'm here. I appreciate that I'm alive. And I appreciate that I get to try again. Imagine how different your day will feel if the first voice you hear is your own, speaking gently, instead of a notification pinging stress into your system. This is the practice that builds a happier life, not huge grand gestures, not sudden changes. Just one small moment every morning where you remind your brain what truly matters before the world tries to distract you. This one shift, repeated daily, becomes emotional armor. It becomes inner peace. It becomes the foundation of a calmer, a stronger, more grounded you. Small moments create the foundation of daily happiness, and when you finally understand this, your whole relationship with life changes. Most people think happiness is hidden in big achievements, major life events, or dramatic moments. They believe it's something they will feel once they get the perfect job, the perfect body, the perfect relationship, the perfect life. They keep waiting for these huge milestones, as if happiness is some rare explosion that only happens when everything lines up perfectly. But life isn't built that way. Life is built in tiny pieces, in quiet moments, in the spaces you usually ignore. If you wait for big moments to feel happy, you will miss the thousands of small moments that could have made you feel alive. Think about your day. The moment you wake up and stretch. The first sip of water that hits your throat. The warm sunlight that creeps through the window. The smell of fresh air when you step outside. The way your body relaxes when you sit down after standing too long. These moments are small, but they are real. They are grounding. They are human. And they are available to you every single day, no matter what else is going on. This is where the real foundation of happiness is built. Imagine you are rushing through your morning. You're stressed, you're late, you're overwhelmed. You spill your tea. Your shirt is wrinkled, your messages are piling up. But then, in the middle of all this chaos, you pause for 2 seconds and feel the warmth of the cup in your hands. It's tiny, barely noticeable. But for those 2 seconds, you feel anchored. You feel present, you feel human. That is a small moment. And that moment matters more than you think. The truth is, your mind is always collecting evidence. When you rush through life, all your brain sees is stress, pressure, and problems. But when you slow down for even 5 seconds and appreciate a small moment, you give your brain proof that good things exist too. You build new emotional pathways. You teach your mind to look for peace instead of panic. Think about a walk you've taken recently. Maybe it wasn't special at all. Maybe you were going to the store, or heading to work, or walking home. But imagine if you had noticed one simple thing on that walk. A child laughing, leaves dancing in the wind, the rhythm of your own footsteps, the comfort of fresh air touching your face. That 5-second observation could shift your entire emotional state, because your brain suddenly locks onto something steady, something soothing, something real. That's what small moments do. They interrupt emotional noise. You've seen this happen with people who seem naturally calm or content. They're not that way because their life is perfect. They're that way because they've trained themselves to notice these micro moments that everyone else walks past. They enjoy the little joke someone makes. They appreciate the smell of food cooking. They feel gratitude when someone holds the door open. They smile at tiny wins instead of waiting for huge victories. That's why they seem happier. They're not living a different life. They're just paying attention to it differently. Even in difficult times, small moments can rescue you. Imagine you're going through something heavy. Your heart feels heavy. Your mind is tired. You can't see the big picture. But in the middle of all that pain, someone checks on you, or a breeze touches your face, or you hear a song that brings a familiar comfort. These moments won't fix everything, but they break the heaviness for a few seconds. They give your heart a breath. They help you stay afloat. That breath is not small. That breath is survival. Another daily example. Imagine eating a meal. You're scrolling your phone, not even tasting your food, just rushing through it. But then you pause, set the phone aside, and take one mindful bite. You feel the warmth, the flavor, the comfort. For 3 seconds, you're actually present. That 3-second presence is a building block of happiness. It's a reminder that your life is happening right now, not later. This is why you hear people say, slow down. It's not a cliche. It's science. Your nervous system calms when you pay attention to your senses. Your stress reduces, your mood stabilizes, your mind clears. And all of that happens because of small moments. The biggest mistake people make is believing that happiness arrives in big packages. But real happiness is built like a house, brick by brick. Each small moment is a brick. Every breath you notice, every warm light you see, every quiet pause you take, every tiny laugh you share, those bricks stack up. And over time, they create emotional stability. They create resilience. They create a life that feels good from the inside, even if everything isn't perfect on the outside. Think of someone who waits for the weekend to be happy. They spend 5 days miserable, 2 days hoping for joy, and then repeat the cycle. Now compare that with someone who collects small moments during the week, a nice conversation at lunch, a 5-minute break in fresh air, a small compliment, the comfort of warm water on their hands, the satisfaction of completing one little task. That person experiences tiny doses of happiness daily, and those doses add up, they grow. They become a foundation strong enough to hold bigger happiness in the future. Small moments teach you that life is not something you're chasing. Life is something you're living right now, in this breath, in this minute, in this tiny pocket of time where something good is already happening if you just pay attention to it. And once you start noticing these small moments, you stop waiting for life to deliver happiness in big dramatic ways. You start creating it in real time, piece by piece, moment by moment, breath by breath. Consistency in tiny habits builds a lighter, calmer, more intentional life. And once you experience this truth even once, something inside you shifts forever. Most people think major change requires massive effort, huge discipline, dramatic routines, or overnight transformation. They think they need to read 10 books, change their personality, wake up at 4 a.m., or become someone completely different just to feel better. But the real transformation, the kind that actually sticks, the kind that actually reshapes your mind and your emotional world, comes from tiny habits practiced with quiet consistency, not big moves, not sudden life overhauls. Just small, simple actions repeated again and again until they become part of who you are. Think about how you start your day. Imagine if every morning, before anything else, you just took a slow breath and said one gentle thought to yourself like, I'm going to take today step by step. It takes 5 seconds. It looks so tiny it almost feels ridiculous. But if you practice it every morning, your brain starts expecting it. Your nervous system starts relaxing the moment you wake up. Your thoughts become calmer before your day even begins. That tiny habit becomes an anchor, something stable your mind can hold on to every single morning. Or think about drinking a glass of water when you wake up. It takes less than a minute. It's not impressive, it's not dramatic. But if you do it every single day, your body starts feeling clearer, your mind feels more awake, your digestion improves, and your energy stabilizes. Not because you did something big, but because you repeated something small. Tiny habits matter because they are doable. Your mind doesn't resist them. Your body doesn't panic. Your motivation doesn't have to be perfect. You don't need a burst of energy to do them. They fit into your life without force. And that is exactly why they work. Picture this. Someone decides they want to be healthier, so they try to change everything overnight. They go to the gym for 2 hours, start a strict diet, drink a gallon of water, and try to sleep early all in one day. By day 3, they're exhausted, frustrated, overwhelmed. They quit, not because they're weak, but because they tried to do too much too fast. Now imagine another person. This person decides they will start with a tiny habit, just a 5-minute walk every day. They do it on tired days, on busy days, on bad days. On good days, they keep doing it because it's small enough to stick. And after a month, that 5-minute walk becomes 10 minutes. Then 15, then maybe they start choosing better food. Then maybe they start sleeping earlier. Small habits quietly multiply. One tiny discipline creates space for another. That's how change grows naturally instead of painfully. Tiny habits don't stress you. They support you. They build a life that feels lighter because you're not fighting with yourself anymore. You're not forcing giant steps. You're not collapsing under unrealistic expectations. Instead, you're creating pockets of ease throughout your day. Think about emotional habits too. Imagine if once a day, no matter how busy you are, you stop for 10 seconds and asked yourself, how am I doing right now? That one question opens up space inside you. Maybe you realize you need a break. Maybe you realize you need water. Maybe you realize you're overwhelmed and need to slow down. Maybe you realize you're okay and want to keep going. That tiny check-in prevents burnout. It prevents emotional explosions. It prevents days where you feel like everything collapsed at once. Or imagine if every evening you made a tiny habit of acknowledging one thing you did well that day. Not a big achievement. Maybe you handled a difficult moment calmly. Maybe you cleaned your room for 2 minutes. Maybe you replied to a message you were avoiding. Maybe you showed kindness to someone. Acknowledging that one small win rewires your brain to see progress instead of problems. Over time, you stop beating yourself up. You start recognizing your effort. You build confidence slowly, gently, naturally. Tiny habits also give you something even more powerful: momentum. When you do something small every day, you train your brain to trust you. You train your mind to believe that you follow through. And a mind that trusts itself is unstoppable. You stop feeling like someone who quits. You stop feeling ashamed of starting and stopping. You start feeling like someone who can grow, someone who can change, someone who is capable of steady effort. Life becomes calmer because you're not constantly swinging between extremes. You're not going from overworking to burnout. You're not going from motivated to miserable. Tiny habits create emotional consistency. They teach you how to live intentionally instead of reactively. Here's a daily life example. Imagine you decide to clean your space for just 2 minutes a day. 2 minutes. You can't even finish a full task in that time, but you can put one thing in its place. You can wipe one surface. You can fold one piece of clothing. And if you do that every single day, your space slowly transforms. Not because you cleaned for hours, but because you showed up consistently. The environment becomes lighter. Your mind becomes clearer. Your decisions become easier. That tiny habit creates an entire shift in how you feel in your own space. Another example, imagine practicing 1 minute of deep breathing every evening. Just 1 minute. It looks insignificant, but do it for 2 weeks and suddenly your mind starts relaxing faster. Your sleep becomes deeper. Your stress lowers, your thoughts become clearer. People around you notice you're calmer. You didn't change your whole life. You just showed up for 1 quiet minute every night. This is how tiny habits build an intentional life. Not by force, but by repetition. Not by intensity, but by consistency. Not by giant leaps, but by steady steps that accumulate into something powerful. Every tiny habit is a seed, and when you plant them daily, even in the smallest doses, they grow into the calm, grounded, intentional life you've been craving. Every single day of your life has been quietly preparing you for one truth you keep forgetting: you are allowed to choose a happier life. Not when things get perfect. Not when everything finally makes sense. But right now, in the middle of the mess, in the middle of the noise, in the middle of whatever heaviness you're carrying. The moment you decide to shift your focus, even a little, everything begins to move with you. Happiness is not a sudden explosion. It's a gentle turning of your face toward what is good, what is real, what is still working for you, even when your heart feels tired. There's something powerful that happens when you look at your life and say, I'm done waiting for the world to change before I change how I show up. That single decision flips an internal switch. It's not magic, it's not luck, it's intention. It's you choosing to drive your life instead of letting your fears, your worries, or your past hurts sit in the driver's seat. People think happiness is this big dramatic moment, but it's usually a small whisper inside you saying, try again. Look closer. Don't give up on yourself. Think about those times when you were drowning in stress, when you felt like nothing was going your way, and then out of nowhere, one tiny moment shifted your entire day. Maybe someone smiled at you. Maybe a problem suddenly didn't feel so heavy. Maybe you remembered something you've overcome before and thought, wait, I'm stronger than I think. Those moments aren't accidents. They're reminders. Reminders that your life is not defined by one bad day, one bad season, or one bad decision. Your life is defined by whether you choose to rise again and again, no matter how slow or how tired you feel. And here's the truth most people never hear: you don't need a new life to feel happier. You need a new lens. Gratitude is that lens. Awareness is that lens. Choosing to see what you still have instead of what you've lost is that lens. When you shift how you see your world shifts right back. It doesn't mean your problems disappear, but it means they stop owning you. It means you walk into every day with a little more strength than yesterday, a little more clarity, a little more emotional fuel. That's how real change builds quietly, consistently inside you. Imagine waking up tomorrow, and instead of rushing into stress, you pause, you breathe, you notice one tiny thing you're grateful for before you even get out of bed. Maybe it's the softness of your pillow, the warmth of your room, the simple fact that you woke up with another chance to live differently. That single moment sets your emotional tone for the entire day. And when life tries to pull you back into chaos, you get to decide, you get to say, not today. Today I'm choosing calm. Today I'm choosing clarity. Today I'm choosing to see what's still good. You don't have to fight the whole mountain. You just take one step, then another. And slowly your mind starts to open. Your heart starts to breathe. Your confidence starts to rise like the sun you forgot you had inside you. That's the thing about choosing happiness. It's not loud. It's not dramatic. It's steady. It grows every time you choose not to let negativity steal your focus. It grows every time you give yourself permission to enjoy something simple. It grows every time you say, I'm not perfect, but I'm trying. And you mean it. The people who live the happiest lives aren't the ones with the easiest circumstances. They're the ones who refuse to stop noticing what still makes life beautiful. They're the ones who remind themselves that even small progress matters. They're the ones who understand that peace doesn't come from fixing everything around them. Peace comes from learning how to hold their own heart gently, especially on the days it feels heavy. So here's your moment. Here's your turning point. Breathe. Stand up a little taller. Look at your life with new eyes and choose to begin again. No matter what happened before this moment, you still have power. You still have control. You still have the ability to create a life that feels fulfilling, meaningful, and deeply yours. Your joy is not gone. It's waiting for you to claim it.